Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Where You Are. Today I want to talk about some of the tips that I use for cutting down on my grocery bill. I feel like I need to explain a little bit. I know this is a homesteading channel and everybody comes on here expecting to see more homesteading type videos. First of all, I just decided this year that I was going to take, I live on a 2/3 of an acre in a suburban neighborhood kind of in the county. So my front yard I have some fruit trees lining the front edges of my front yard, but for the most part the front yard is for looks, to look nice for the neighborhood. The backyard, I have chickens, I have ducks and geese, which most of those I will probably be getting rid of. And I have a garden. I have lots of fruit trees. But this year I decided that I was going to try and make more use of the space that I do have. For one thing, all of the family gatherings, holidays, any of that kind of stuff happens at our house. And because of that, we still have to keep an area of the backyard where people can gather, and everybody loves to come and look at the animals and see what's going on. But you think about like Easter and things like that, where you're going to want space for Easter egg hunting and stuff like that. So we try and keep a space that is just a normal yard. So we pretty much decided that the ducks and geese, just as much as I'd love to have them, if I had more space I probably would keep them, but I don't. And they're just not right for us, because I think I can make better use of the space that they take up and the time they require. So anyway, I just decided to start doing that this year. And the problem I'm having now is it's December and all of my fruit trees are done, so there's really not much going on there. The garden is done. I never planted a fall garden or anything, which I will do next year. So when it comes to a lot of the stuff that you guys expect to see, there's not going to be a whole lot going on until spring. You've seen me do some canning videos and things like that, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to say that this is strictly a homesteading channel. What I'm trying to show is how my family makes use of the space that we do have, how we grocery shop, how we preserve the things that we do to keep from wasting money. So for me, this being a homestead, kind of all of that's kind of included. So anyway, I wanted to share with you, I think it's about 9 or 10 tips that I use for saving on my groceries. And this is a realistic, I've watched a lot of videos. People will show, they spent $300 for the whole month for a family of 10, and it's all rice and beans and maybe a little bit of chicken thrown in there or whatever. For us, it's a little more realistic. We like our snack foods. We like dessert. My husband really likes to have dessert. We drink sodas. I don't, but the rest of the family does. So this is realistic. This is how we shop to have what a normal family would have on hand, but how we do it cheaper. So anyway, tip number 1, shop the sales. Every week we get the sales ads. We look and we see what's on sale, and that's everything. That's meats, that's your condiments, that's your fruits and vegetables, and everything, sodas, whatever it is, what's on sale. And then that brings us to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is, when you find those things that are on sale, especially for a very good price, buy in bulk. So, for instance, today we bought pork shoulder blade roast, Boston butt. I know there's lots of names for it. It's the same thing as a pork steak, just in the roast form. The regular price for this right now is $2.99, which is actually cheap, because before the last couple of weeks these were running about $5 a pound. So anyway, their regular price was $2.99 a pound. Their member price was $1.29 a pound. We have the app on our phone for Safeway where you can pull coupons that are made for you and all that kind of stuff. And with the coupon, these were 99 cents a pound. I cannot remember the last time I saw anything for 99 cents a pound, no matter what, as far as meat. So we bought this one, which is almost 12 pounds. We bought two actually. And I will cut these in half. So that's what I mean by buying bulk, and not just meats. When you find, see what else today, with butter. Butter is running about $4 a pound here. I don't know about anywhere else for regular price. They had it on sale for $2.47. So, and it was limit 3. So when we use the app and have the account set up, I have one, my husband has one. So I got 3 and he got 3. When you find, what else? Here's another one. Safeway had their Signature Select bacon on sale for $3.47 a pound, which is incredible these days. I think regular price is, well, their brand, it's the Signature Select, they were out of. And from what the lady at the meat department said, it was a warehouse shortage. So what they did was they substituted. They gave us our choice of 2 different kinds that we could substitute for the same price. So we got the Smithfield. This was regular $9.47, and we got it for $3.47, and it was limit 4. So of course we got 4. Cake mixes. Like I said, we like our dessert. We don't have it every day or anything like that, but we like to have stuff on hand that we can fix. They were on sale for 99 cents. The frostings were on sale for 99 cents, so I think we bought 3 of each. So that's what I mean by buying in bulk. And whenever you can, buy extra. I know some people are, people are strapped. It can be as simple as if you eat rice-a-roni on a regular basis and you eat, say, 2 boxes in a week, buy 3. Have that one extra on hand, and I'll explain more about that later. But anyway, that's what I mean by buying in bulk. Tip number 3, preserve items that you have before they go bad. For instance, I have mentioned on here a couple of times that my mother-in-law gets Meals on Wheels. They bring lots of apples and oranges and usually more milk than we can drink. And so I usually try and find some way to do something with that before it goes bad. You saw me in one video where I just juiced the apples and oranges. I think this time they came yesterday or day before, and because of Christmas they brought 2 weeks at once. So and we still had the apples and oranges from the week before. So I think this time I'm probably going to dehydrate. I know not everybody has a dehydrator, but find some way that you can use those items, preserve them, freeze them, whatever it is that you can do to put them away before they go bad. Tip number 4 kind of goes from that. Repurpose your leftovers. For instance, when I'm talking about this pork roast, This is one of those items, even though I'm going to cut it in half, that's, 6 pounds of meat. We won't eat 6 pounds in one meal. We will eat it probably the first time as almost like a beef stew, but it'll be a pork stew. Sometimes we'll do it more like a Mexican or something like that. But it's usually some sort of a stew that we do in the crock pot. We will eat it that night, and then the next day we will take the meat, usually put it back in the crock pot, and we'll add, maybe do pork tacos. So we'll add some salsa verde or some chili peppers, some taco seasonings, just whatever flavors that you like for your Mexican. And so the second night we will have it as tacos. We actually did kind of the same thing. 3 or 4 nights ago we had pork chops. There was only 5 of them, but they were large, very large, thick and big. And I think we only ate about half of it for dinner that night. We just had regular, grilled pork chops with seasoning on them. And the next day we took the leftover pork chops, put them in the crock pot, and we put a beef gravy packet and some beef broth, and I think it had a Lipton onion soup packet. It was kind of like a Mississippi pot roast type thing or whatever, but we used it with leftover pork chops, and it was delicious. But it's a totally different meal than you had the first night, and it's a way to use your leftovers so that you don't feel like you're eating the same thing twice, and they don't go to waste. And then that brings me to tip number 5. Portioning your meats. As I said, I will cut this one in half. If it's better for you, you can cut it in 4 and then maybe not have the leftovers for the second night. Do it however you want to do. We buy hamburger meat when it's on sale, and we end up with 20-30 pounds. And I will usually divide some of it into 1 pound packages, some of it into 1.5 pounds, and usually 1 or 2 2-pound packages in case I'm going to do like a meatloaf or something like that. But proportioning your meats ahead of time so that you don't have to wait for them to thaw, and then at that point you might as well cook it, whatever. If you proportion your meals ahead of time, you'll make them stretch farther. And kind of brings me into the next tip. Tip number 6 is only cook what your family will eat unless you're planning for a leftover. I know a lot of people, and I'm guilty or have been guilty in the past, not so much anymore, of, for instance, there's 4 of us. If you're having a pork chop or a steak or something that's individually portioned, it's really easy to just cook, 1 for each person, and then sometimes maybe a second one for the man of the family or the big meat eater or whatever. And I found that for us, we do have a 20-something-year-old that lives with us, and he eats pretty much, when it comes to the meat anyway, the same amount that the other 3 of us put together can eat. So what we found is for things like a big pork chop or a steak or something like that, we can usually make 1 for him and 2 for the 3 of us to share, and still have leftovers sometimes. So my point is, even though you might say, I would like to have 2 of these, do you really need 2 of them? So only cook what you think your family needs or will eat. Like I said, unless you're planning for leftovers, like with the roast and things like that. Alright, so tip number 7. Only buy items that your family will eat. It's real easy to see something in the store that's on sale or just kind of catches your eye or whatever and think, I think I'll get that. If you don't already have in your mind something to use it for, something to make out of it, or if it's a flavor that maybe your family won't eat, it really doesn't matter how cheap it is. If you're not going to eat it, don't buy it. Okay, and tip number 8. Let's face it, if you are watching this video, it probably means that you are struggling in some way to feed your family, especially these days when prices have skyrocketed. So, tip is, take advantage of your food pantries. Yes, sometimes you'll get a few things that you don't like, your family won't eat, whatever. I just give them away to someone who can use them. But you get a lot of staples. You get, rice and beans. You get usually a couple of cans of vegetables and fruits. A lot of times you get bread or milk or eggs or some of the staple items that your family needs. And this is a good way to, if you start there, that's less money that you will have to spend at the grocery store. And I know it's not easy to do sometimes. I'm going to be honest with you, we are struggling. I am taking advantage of the food pantries when I can. I have 2 that I can go to once a month each. As a matter of fact, I'm going to one tomorrow, and then the other one is the next day. And usually around the holidays especially, they'll have extras or something special. I think for Thanksgiving they had small turkeys. There's always something. They have their standard, what they give you, and then there's always something extra besides that. And you never really know what you're going to get. And it can supplement your grocery bill quite a bit, make things a lot easier on you. Now, those are the basic tips. I do have a couple of things I do want to say. Call them bonus tips if you want. First one is, find a way to invest in a food saver. You can usually pick one up at a thrift store or at a garage sale or something pretty cheap if you can't afford to buy one new. But when you're buying the meats this way, where you're buying in bulk, sometimes you have things that are going to be in your freezer for, sometimes it can be up to a year. And I know that if I'm just using freezer bags or something like that, I will have a problem with getting freezer burn on my meats. So, I vacuum seal everything. After I proportion the meats into the meal size that I want, I will put them in little bags, and I will use the sealing meal bags and seal them that way and not have to worry about freezer burn. Another thing is, if you can, try and invest in some food preserving equipment. Rather than just be a large pot that you can use to water bath can or something like that, rather that be a dehydrator, rather it be a pressure canner, just whatever it is that you can afford to do. Make sure everyone knows that's what you want for Christmas, that's what you want for your birthday, whatever. Find a way to invest in some of these things, because one of the things that I have been able to do is buy things like tomato sauce or pizza sauce or spaghetti sauce, diced tomatoes. It's mainly tomato products, but there are a lot of others too. But you can buy them in the number 10 can, and I buy that big number 10 can for $2 or $3 or whatever, and then I can just divide it in small jars. And with the tomato products, most of those you can just run through a water bath canner, which essentially is just a big pot. You don't have to have anything special. If you have a big pot, something you can put down in the bottom. If you don't, you can use tinfoil wadded up so that the jars are not sitting directly on the bottom. And you can water bath can those items and make, I mean, those little jars are, you know, little cans, tomato sauce for instance, 69 cents, 79 cents, $1.29, whatever a can. And by doing it this way, you can have, you know, 20 cents a can or less for the same size. Plus you can proportion it in the size that you need. I know for me, I do some 4 ounce, some 8 ounce, some 12 ounce, you know, just depending on what you're doing with it. But by doing that, you're able to save a lot of money because you're, again, buying it in a bulk and just repackaging it for your use. Another thing I would like to say is try and get yourself to where you have start with 3 months, but 3 to 6 month food supply of all of the normal things that you would eat. Even if we're just talking having some of these meats in the freezer, having, you know, boxes of rice-a-roni or pasta-roni or something like that, your canned vegetables, even instant mashed potatoes. Even if I personally do not normally make instant mashed potatoes. Our family just really doesn't care for them all that much. But I have a stash in my pantry of instant mashed potatoes, because if you get in a situation where someone loses a job, or like with this COVID, shelves are empty, you can't find what you're looking for, you always know that at least for the next 3 to 6 months, whatever it is, your family will be able to eat. Plus, you will find, once you start getting a little bit of a buildup of some of these items, especially the meat, that's the price of your items that you buy at the grocery store. So if you get to where you've been able to buy 5 or 6 or 7 different types of meat and buy them in bulk and separate them and get them in your freezer, what you will find is you'll be on almost like a rotation. So, you know, I bought this today. By the time, you know, 3 months or so rolls around, I will probably be able to find it on sale again. But if you don't have any sales for 3 to 6 months on that item, you already have some in your freezer. And that way you are never paying full price for any of it. So it's a good habit. And, you know, with COVID, with never knowing what could happen, like I said, a loss of a job, or, you know, there can be many types of emergencies. I'm not one of those prepper kind of people. I kind of wish I was a little bit, but I'm not. But I do try and make sure that I always have, at this point, we could probably go close to a year without buying anything. I started to say except for bread and milk and things like that, but even that, I have everything I need to make bread, and I know how to make bread. I have canned milk. I have the shelf-stable box milk that you can buy at Dollar General. There's ways around. If you had to, I could go probably close to a year without going to the grocery store if I had to. So anyway, it's always a good idea to have at least 3 to 6 months. And then, like I said, you keep a rotation. Every time something's on sale, you buy for about 3 months, and then you know that you will always have, at any given time, 3 months of food if something were to happen. Stay tuned for some future videos. You will see me putting some of these things into practice. And I hope this helps. God bless you all.